brothers, talk to resistance. It is time for us to use our power. Please do not beg folks for power. Nobody is going to give it to you. You were born with power. I think I'm hearing revolution in the air. I think I'm hearing revolution in the air. Tell me, brothers. Talk to resistance. I think I'm hearing revolution in the air. Tell me, brothers. Talk to resistance. It is time for us to use our power. Please do not beg folks for power. Nobody is going to give it to you. You were born with power.
Some very sad news for all of you and people who love peace all over the world. Martin Luther King was shot and was killed tonight in Memphis.
I will never say that progress is being made. If you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, there's no progress. You pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress is healing the wound that's below me.
I think I'm hearing revolution in the air. Tell me, brothers, talk to resistance.
But the hard truth is that not everyone is sharing in this city's splendor and glory. There are more poor than ever, more families in trouble, more and more people who need help but can't find it.
A struggle against the common enemies of man, tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself.
We believe that all men are created equal, yet many are denied equal treatment.
And so we say to all in this nation who dare listen to us, black, white, Jew, Gentile, Asian, Latino, that we are brothers and sisters in a long and difficult struggle.
I think I'm hearing revolution in the air. Tell me, brothers.
We have a government, sir, that needs to be opened up before the American people.
Say what?
We have a government, sir, that needs to be opened up before the American people.
What you say?
We have a government, sir, that needs to be opened up before the American people.
Can you say it one more time?
We have a government, sir, that needs to be opened up before the American people. We have a government, sir, that needs to be opened up before the American people.
Wow. Is that what he said? The American people need to open up their government. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Prince Carter Show. What is going on in St. Louis politics today? What is going on with this mayor's race? And what has this mayor done that has gotten so many people that mad at the mayor? What has the mayor done wrong? What has this mayor done so horrible to black folks is what I want to know. Can anybody explain that to me this morning? We're trying to figure out what has the mayor done so horrible to black folks. We need to answer that question this morning. I would like to know the answer. 314-536-1458. If anybody has the answers. What is going on in St. Louis politics? I tell you what's going on, people. I tell you what's going on. White folks finna take it all back over. They're going after the mayor. They're going after Darlene Green. And is this going to work in the interest of North St. Louis, is this going to work in the interest of black folks? Those are some of the things that we need to be looking at, folks. We need to really and truly figure out what's going on with St. Louis politics and what direction are we headed in, and who is it going to benefit. Those are some of the things I would like to touch on this morning. I am deeply saddened over a number of things that I'm seeing going sideways politically, but is it time for black folks to just sit down and say nothing and do nothing, or is it time for us to rise up and fight for what is in the interest of us as a people and as a community? I think those are some of the tough questions that we need to be resonating on this morning. I did reach out to, and I've been reaching out to Kara Spencer. She was supposed to have been coming on the podcast, but for whatever reason, she has not been able to find time to do that, because I really wanted to talk to her. And she said she was going to talk to us, but she's not willing to talk. I think there's a number of reasons why, but the jury's still out on that one. But what has the mayor done to black folks that's got her so divisive to the black community? What has the mayor done that's gotten folks walking away from her? It just seems like they just jumping off the team left and right. I don't know what's going on with this politics. It ain't looking too good for small, poor black folks as a whole from where I'm sitting. And I tell you this, if Kara Spencer is going to be the next mayor, which is what it's looking like, what has she done, or what has she promised to black folks? What is she going to do for North St. Louis? Those are some of the things that we need to be asking. I wanted to ask her, but she won't come on and talk to me, so I guess that's just that's the picture of the days to come. I mean, occasionally she will respond to a text. You know what? I'm just going to take a quick break here. I'm going to call and see if she will even answer the phone. Let's see that.
I think I'm hearing revolution in the air. I think I'm hearing revolution in the air. Tell me, brother, talk to me, sister. I think I'm hearing revolution in the air. Tell me, brother, talk to me, sister.
It is time for us to use our power. Please do not beg folks for power. Nobody is going to give it to you. You were born with power.
Some very sad news for all of you and people who love peace all over the world. Martin Luther King was shot and was killed tonight in Memphis.
I will never say that progress is being made. If you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, there's no progress. You pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress is healing the wound that's below me.
I think I'm hearing revolution in the air. Tell me, brother, talk to me, sister.
Well, the hard truth is that
Splendor and glory. There are more poor than ever.
Good morning.
More families in trouble. More families in trouble. More and more people who need help but can't find it.
A struggle against the common enemies of man, tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself.
We believe that all men are created equal, yet many are denied equal treatment.
And so we say to all in this nation who would dare listen to us, black, white, Jew, Gentile, Asian, Latino, that we are brothers and sisters in a long and difficult struggle.
I
We have a government, sir, that needs to be opened up before the American people.
All right, that's what they say. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm back now.
Flourishing city, a city that takes its population loss and turns it into growth. I have ambitions that St. Louis can be on the path for growth. You know, we've been losing population for decades now, but that population loss is falling off a cliff right now. We're losing people faster than you can count them. And I think it's important that we turn that around. But at the crux of it, really, you know, I feel like the city, you know, our job is to make the city work. And, you know, we can't think big. We can't do bigger things until the city gets the basics right. You know, and I'm talking about very simple things like potholes and streets and trash pickup and that sort of thing. You know, if we're not doing those basic things, we can't expect to have a vision beyond where we are.
Okay, Kara, as it relates to the whole city, economically, North St. Louis has been devastated for 75 years. There's a lot of void in North St. Louis and a lot of neglect and disrespect over decades. Under your administration, is there any hope for North St. Louis?
Have neglected North St. Louis for longer than I've been alive.
Have you
get that right?
I'm sorry, excuse me, Madam Spencer. Have you really taken in consideration the devastation and the neglect of North St. Louis, and do you have a plan for North St. Louis?
Well, let me say that I don't live in North St. Louis. I've lived north of Delmar, but I don't right now, and I haven't for a long time. But, you know, that being said, you know, it's obvious to anyone who spends any time in North St. Louis that there is just absolute devastation. You're absolutely right to use that word. And you know, as far as the plan is concerned, here's my plan. We're going to fix the basic systems of government, and I'm talking about how we do all those things I talked about, pothole, junk, all that stuff. And the plan for North St. Louis has to be driven by and including the people who live there. Mm-hmm. It just has to be. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And so do I have a plan? My plan looks like being driven by those people, the people, you, and the folks that continue to live there and know best. And, you know that, I hope that, I hope, you know, I will sit down with folks, I will listen, will offer what I know to be the case so far. And as we move through this, hopefully together, you know, we'll be doing that regularly.
Mm-hmm. Now, some of the concerns that people are having as relates to you and your candidacy, and that is your affiliation with Vince Shamel. How are you connected with Vince Shamel? Or do you know who Vince Shamel is, and do you have a working relationship with Vince Shamel?
I do know Vince. I do know who he is, and I do know him personally, and I do talk to Vince. I met Vince before I ran for office. I put together a group of citizens. I didn't put it together. I was working with a group of citizens to defeat a regressive sales tax statewide that would have been a sales tax for highways in the state of Missouri. And I thought that was a way of taxing poor people for the highway system that I was really opposed to. So I worked with Vince and others on that. And then that dovetailed into a group that worked to expand public transit in the city.
Oftentimes, as it relates to your connection with big corporations and the big money people and the folks that don't have the small people at heart and the billionaires and so on and so forth. What would you say to folks that are concerned about your relationship with folks with big pocketbooks?
Yeah, well, you know, this is somewhat new to me, and you know, I mean, I think, you know, when you look at my campaigns over many years, with the exception of running for mayor last time, I've never really had to do the traditional call time. I have a lot of community support, A lot of small dollar donors, a lot of people that I've helped and worked with over many, many years who are supportive of my campaign. And those are the contributions I would say I'm most grateful for. But most recently, the one that's been in the news so much has been the Bob Clark contribution and what he was able to pull together as far as a network of folks that are very frustrated with the direction of the city. I mean, I think anybody who's tried to deal with this, with the city recently, yourself probably, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Prince, but yourself probably included, is very, very frustrated, very frustrated, and is almost willing to support raising money, donating to Barack Obama, and doing the same for Kamala Harris. He is a huge supporter. So I'm in a long line of, Barack, Kamala, and other Democrats who've gotten a lot of generous support from Bob Clark, and that's a prestigious list. I don't mean to include myself amongst those very tremendous leaders, but I will just say, as far as being the recipient of a large amount of financial support, that's not a bad list to be in. And if Bob Clark is supporting people like that with his deep pockets, I am proud to be on the others among them.
Okay. All right. Fast forwarding to the ARPA funds, which is one of the big problems that I've had with this administration and St. Louis Development Corporation and the whole way that this process has come down. You were a former board member on St. Louis Development Corporation. Can you explain to the listening audience how you became a member of that board and what were your responsibilities on that board?
The St. Louis Development Corporation is the entity that the city has to evaluate, and the Board of Aldermen granted those funds to SLDC very much during COVID. That was the most.
That was a March of 21, was it not, or April of 21?
I believe that it was around that time. The exact date I don't have in front of me, but you're exactly right. And that was during COVID. Mm-hmm. So those funds were granted to SLDC by way of the CDA, Community Development Agency, to support small businesses during COVID.
Were those funds supposed to be emergency funds? Were they not emergency funds, as in getting them out expeditiously?
Correct.
Okay.
That's exactly right. So that obviously didn't happen. So fast forward 4 years, and here we are, and the majority of those funds have still not been distributed. So I'm on the board. Let me explain how this kind of worked out. I'm on the board of SLDC going, when are we going to give out these ARPA monies? And, last summer, they called a special meeting in the middle of the week at a time that we normally don't have meetings, and they called for us to consider the first list of awardees. Well, can you imagine getting a list of, like, I don't remember, but it was several hundred, and okay it and approve it? I didn't have any, there's no information, there's no way. I said, do you want me to Google these businesses as we're sitting here? There's several hundred. How do I know they've been vetted? Well, you have businesses on here that have no business being on here. And so I'm looking at the list, going, gosh, I think she's right.
There were businesses that were created after COVID. So how could they be in a line for COVID funds if they weren't even in business during the COVID pandemic?
Right. Exactly. And then, even to make matters worse, how did you choose these businesses? Okay. Well, you had a vetting process. You had criteria. Okay, but that criteria was not developed until after all of these applications came in, and that is the wrong way. That's the wrong way to do that. So my point is, there was no. I started to ask a lot of questions. Where was the $7 million that we allocated to SLDC to vet these businesses? They got $7 million in administrative fees to administer the funds. Where are those $7 million? What did you use them for? How on earth did you spend $7 million and not do this right? What is going on here? And my point is, I was not given the chairmanship of budget when I was first elected to this new district. So probably June of 2023, and I served until, I believe I resigned in November 2024.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we did not start to consider these awards until last summer, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I, you know, really recognized.
So when did you actually resign from the board?
I think it was November of last year. I'd have to double check.
Okay, so you were there then when they had the first draft that they put out back in June of last year. You were still on the board at that
That's
time.
correct.
And
That's right.
and you didn't see anything wrong with the way that they did that?
Of course I did. I voiced a lot of concerns. You know, I'd have to look back at my exact votes. I either voted no or present because at the time I didn't feel like I had enough information to vote no, but I also knew I didn't have in jeopardy, and I am very worried that that I'm not, you know, how we move through the rest of this, I don't know the answer to that right now, but I will tell you it will have to follow law, and I am very worried that there's been some instances where we're going to have some clear issues. You know, you saw the stabilization program, the building one,
Mm-hmm.
where they were putting money into buildings. Some of those buildings are falling down.
Wow.
One of those buildings just fell down 2 days ago, and it had $150,000 of stabilization money in it. That's crazy.
That's beyond crazy. Listen, Tamika Stikers just text me. She wants to be joined in on the conversation. Can she join us right quickly?
Well, that's up to you. Just your show, not
Okay.
mine.
All right. She should be coming in here in a second. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about, Kara, that's this whole thing about downtown St. Louis. Okay, Tamika, she's on the air. Stand by, Tamika. Well, before we go to downtown St. Louis, we're talking about the ARPA funds, and I think Tamika had a question as relates to
in the arena. When we looked at how they were distributed so poorly, and there's some real questionable things that have gone on, in my view, we've got to vet that. So we're going to have to lean into what can we do, how quickly can we do it. You know, I am, and I've shared my concerns that the federal government may be clawing those back or clawing some of them back because, you know, just the questions around them. So it's going to be a top priority when I get in there to get that worked out immediately, but I just don't have the capacity while running for office to fully vet that. But it is going to be a priority because it's an emergency. And number two, there's a timeline on that. So they have to get out the door. And that is absolutely a priority on day one to start that work. But I don't have the plan right now.
Okay. That's understandable.
And you had something else you wanted to add, Tamika?
I do. I'm hearing a lot of people saying, how can you, you know, we understand that you don't want to support the current mayor. Are you sure that this, I'm just telling you what the hood tells me, you sure this white lady going to come in and she know about North St. Louis?
Of refusing to come to North St. Louis is something we need to combat with everything we have. But, you know, one of the issues that a lot of folks that, you know, live or even have businesses in North St. Louis point to is that there are not a lot of businesses there. That's why those COVID funds were directed to North City businesses, because every business we have there, it's important to support and help thrive. So there's not as many opportunities as we need to spend time there. That being said, I think, you know, making sure that you know, that we are developing a plan as we go. What you asked me if I have a plan, and what I was telling Prince before you got on was that, you know, the plan needs to be driven by the folks who live and work there, and it needs to be inclusive of the folks that are really most intimately aware of and working there, in North St. Louis. So I don't have the full plan.
I'm glad you said that, Kara. I'm glad you said that because we have many small business owners, residents of North City that are willing, ready, able, knowledgeable to help you implement a plan for North City. You just have to say the word. Do you want the community's input? Do you want our help? Because we have been here in the trenches ready to sit down and help you. Because we got thoughts, we got ideas, we have things that we know can work. So if you want to sit down with our coalition, we're ready.
Well, my son's here with his friends. They had a sleepover last night. They're awake, so I'm going to have to hop off, but I'm happy to come on.
Yes, got to get to the baby.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Kara, before you,
birthday, so we're...
Okay, before you run, Kara,
Happy birthday to the baby.
Happy birthday. Kara, before you run, one last quick question. As it relates to downtown St. Louis, one of the biggest concerns that I have is that we're talking about doing a lot of investment in the downtown St. Louis. We got three major issues that plague downtown St. Louis. We have homelessness, we have mental illness, and drug addiction. How are we going to address those ills and then at the same time pump hundreds of millions of dollars into downtown St. Louis? How do we do that?
Yeah. Well, those three big issues you talked about, those are issues that are just so widespread and so deep. Homelessness, mental illness, those are issues where the city alone doesn't have the resources to address. So we're going to have to clean overall financially, which it looks like we may be doing in the next. We may be in for some tough years ahead with the COVID, the ARPA money going away, and all these other things that we've been relying on. But that being said, I love coming on. I'm so grateful for the opportunity and with that's worked out. The boys woke up, so I'm going to have to hop off. But I really appreciate this. And Prince, you know my number. Tamika, you know my number as well. And so we'll make this happen again.
All right. We'll be in touch. Kara Spencer, candidate for mayor. She was on this morning. And, what are we going to do as a people, as a community, about this upcoming election? Which direction do we need to go in? What's going to work in the interest of the masses of our people and our community? And those are some of the things that we want to talk about. Hey, listen, with that being said, I'm going to take a quick pause of the calls and come back and wrap this up. This is the Prince Carter Show on the Information Superhighway.
I think I'm hearing revolution in the air. Tell me, brother, talk to me, sister. I think I'm hearing revolution in the air.
But the hard truth is that not everyone is sharing in this city's splendor and glory. There are more poor than ever, more families in trouble, more and more people who need help but can't find it.
A struggle against the common enemies of man, tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself.
We believe that all men are created equal, yet many are denied equal treatment.
And so we say to all in this nation who would dare listen to us, black, white, Jew, Gentile, Asian, Latino, that we are brothers and sisters in a long and difficult struggle.
All right. We're back. Whatever the case may be, we got to make up our minds what we're going to do and which direction we're going as a people and as a community. I personally would like to hear more dialogue and more conversation about what these seats mean and what commitment Kara Spencer hasn't had to or hasn't even been required to make a commitment to black folks. Her campaign is being for the most part from where I'm sitting about running the city from the stance of big dollars. I don't know. We're going to have to look into this and find out what's really going on in the days to come. I got to get out of here, y'all. Thank you so much. This is Prince Carter. I appreciate you. I'll see y'all back here on next week.
I think I'm hearing revolution in the air. I think I'm hearing revolution in